This is absolutely disrespectful to the Boston Celtics as Bleacher Report came out with a ranking of the rookies from the Summer League, and they absolutely discredited Baylor Shireman and Anton Watson, giving them a disrespectful grade. And we're going to be diving in, exploring, and detailing to you guys why that this was absolutely incorrect and why Brad Stevens is absolutely cooked with the two steals in the draft with selecting guys in Baylor Shireman and Anton Watson. Welcome back to another episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Willis. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys have been absolutely killing it, showing your guys support. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around the Celtics team, making sure to get daily uploads, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share the content. You guys are absolutely the best. Without further ado, let's dive into the news at hand, though. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be talking about a Bleacher Report article going over what are they talking about, detailing how the Summer League has finally wrapped up. We saw the Miami Heat winning their championship, their only championship, lol. But yes, we did get to see them win their Summer League championship. And now they have some rankings coming out via Bleacher Report. So if we want to dive in and look at that, we can see that the Boston Celtics received a C minus as a ranking via their two rookies in the summer league. Now, this is not the whole team as a congruent as a unit. It is the just the two rookies, so just Baylor Sharman and just Anton Watson. They say they get a C minus. We got a little bit of more detail to kind of go into that on why they got the C minus. Apparently, according to Andy Bailey, who wrote this article, it's hard to praise a shooter when he's simply not making shots. So while Baylor Shireman has played hard and typically appeared to know what he was doing, going 5 for 21 from 3 over his first 3 games is hard to ignore. Still, shooting numbers from any random 3 game sample do not predict future performance, and Shireman went 3 for 6 from deep in a loss on Friday. On a team as loaded as the Boston Celtics, if he wants a shot at some regular season minutes, he'll have to be ready to knock those looks down when presented. Shireman hasn't been the only notable first year Celtic though, as Anton Watson, taken with the 54th pick, is averaging double figures and had 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks on Friday. With all the offense Boston already has, the defensive first Watson might have a different but potentially easier path to minutes in 2024 and 2025. What that basically says to me and basically tells me is that even though Shireman wasn't consistent in making his shots, he could still be a consistent player for this Celtics rotation. And Anton Watson was a steal in the draft, being selected at pick 54, with his numbers looking similar to Baylor Shireman's, who was selected 24 picks ahead of him. That's where I say that the ranking of a C minus is absolutely ridiculous and not warranted at all due to the fact that the Celtics rookies do promote more promise. Now, like Andy Bailey did say in this, he does not expect a guy like Baylor Shireman to really crack this rotation unless he gets some minutes, unless his shot's getting more consistent. He did start off the week a little bit weak from shooting percentages as he was 5 for 21. But like you mentioned, he started to get it down pat as the week went later on, and Baylor Shireman looked to excel in other aspects of well in the game. That's where I want to talk about Baylor Shireman here, as he was one of the key players that was brought in. Drafted at pick 30, I saw him play at Creighton. He's a solid shooter and and can learn to be a solid defender with his length and with his size, I believe. I think that he's a perfect mixture of a guy in Svi Mihailuk. I think he's that replacement. He's a mixture of Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard combined. He has that playmaking skill, has that guard skill to, be a creator alongside Peyton Pritchard and to still be a scorer. But I think he has that length ability, that size to be able to have that length on the defensive side and maybe slot into that wing position. Similarly, how Sumahalu could not realistically do that for the Boston Celtics this season, as he did play a majority of the two guard for the Boston Celtics when he came off the bench. Now, Shireman, still think has some better tools than Sumahalu does, but I do believe that he will be with the main Celtics this season, and I do not believe that he'll be with the regular rotation. He might see some shine here or there if they're playing a Wizards or playing a Brooklyn Nets. You might see him get called up on a weekend game to, have some fun and to let loose in the NBA level. But honestly, I do not see him getting consistent minutes at this league right now due to the fact that he did have some inconsistencies when shooting. Now, looking at the next player on the Boston Celtics, the next rookie was Anton Watson. And like Andy Bailey mentioned, he did put up 14 points and 8 rebounds with 2 blocks on Friday, but that's all they really mentioned about the forward from Gonzaga. And honestly, Watson, I think, has been the standout player for the Celtics this summer league. Watson kind of came in with being a kind of fourth slash three defender, a guy who could be a solid interior defender and outside defender, just needs to get his three ball in rhythm and comfortable for him to translate it to the NBA level. Now, Watson on defense has looked to be in the right spots, has a smart IQ, and makes the right plays. That is something that Celtics fans love to see, especially with Brad Stevens drafting so late at pick 54, nabbing this steal in Anton Watson. Now, throughout the summer league, we did see Watson give us some nice glimpses on the offensive and defensive side. Andy Bailey, I believe, didn't go into detail on how prevalent and how great a guy like Anton Watson could be for the Celtics unit as in his description. I think that Watson at pick 54 has been a lot better than a lot of other second round picks, and I still think he has a chance to crack this Celtics rotation. The Celtics have a open roster spot and an open two-way spot. Now, in my honest opinion, I do believe that Watson will get the last guaranteed two-way spot, but who knows? If he impresses in training camp, if he does show out, he could get that last roster spot for this Celtics team, or even possibly work his way up from a two-way spot to a last standardized roster spot, similar to how we saw with Neemias Queta last season. We could see something similar happen with Watson this year. Now, if we want to look at the stats from the Summer League, looking at both of these players, if you want to look at Baylor Scheinman's stats, you guys can see that he averaged around 8 points on 36% shooting from the field, 29% shooting from three, and around 75% from the free throw. Did solid in the intangibles as well, getting some assists, getting some rebounds. And the one thing that I really, really liked out of Baylor Scheinman's game is the fact that he really, really likes to fight for those offensive rebounds. We saw it in a game versus the Los Angeles Lakers where a ball hit off the front rim, was rolling out of bounds, and he dove into the fourth or fifth row to try to save the ball and try to keep the possession alive. Those are the hard work hustle plays that Celtics fans love to see. And seeing it out of a shooting guard is even better. We've also seen Baylor Scheinman, regardless of what's on his missed three or an opponent's missed three, crash the board effortlessly, having a knack for offensive rebounds and getting putbacks really easily. We saw him average 8 rebounds in college, and I do not think that that rebounding is going to shy away, regardless of the fact that he's playing at the G League level or playing at the NBA level. I do believe that he's going to be a hustle player, want to fight for those offensive rebounds, and that's another thing that we love to see. We see it with Peyton Pritchard, we see it with Sam Hauser, and Brad just knows those things, those intangibles that these guys bring to the NBA, and he goes for those hard-nosed hustle players because those fit the Celtics culture. Next, we want to look at Watson's stats. We can see that Watson averaged a little bit of better numbers on a little less minutes, but it's through the fact that he came off the bench. Now, Watson, being a second round pick, wasn't in that starting lineup with guys like JD Davidson or Neemias Queta or Jaden Springer for our beginning of the summer league. Scheinman was thrown into there. Watson kind of came off the bench. Then when guys like Queta, Springer, obviously Davidson, Peterson even sat out for some games, a guy like Watson got a little bit better of a chance. Now, Watson's 3 point percentage did look better throughout the entire summer league, and it did look more consistent as we got into more games, which is something you love to see. He's a solid rim protector as well, can be a got a decent amount of blocks, was very great on the steals as well, and also managed to get some solid rebounds and some solid points as well. Me personally, I think Anton Watson is going to fit in like a glove with this Celtic system. I've kind of mentioned him before as a Cam Johnson-esque type player. I think if that three ball gets down, he could be that similar type of prototype for the Celtics. And having him learn under Al Horford alongside Xavier Tillman, I think brings a lot of versatility for this team. As I think a guy in Anton Watson can guard more of the 2 to 4s, where a guy like obviously, Xavier Tillman can guard the 3 to 5s on a very consistent level, and I think that will help out the Boston Celtics a lot in the regular season and in the playoffs due to matchups. I think that having a guy like Watson and Tillman, depending on your defensive matchups and what you need to go up against, if you're going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's a little bit more bigger bodies, if you're going against a little bit smaller lineups, a little bit more fast paced, who's a guy like Anton Watson, I think it's great that the Celtics have addressed that, especially with Kristaps Porziņģis being out for the beginning of the season and with Al Horford sitting out on back to backs. It is necessary to have a bunch of guys that can play some deep minutes for this Celtics team if they are needed. And I do believe guys like Watson and Scheinman could get that call. Now, necessarily, I don't believe that Watson or Scheinman will be playing with the Boston Celtics for a majority of the season. I do believe that they'll be with the main Celtics. Watson on that two-way deal. Scheinman basically taking that Jordan Walsh role from last year, but who knows? We could see them rise up in the ranks. We could see them get some sporadic minutes here and there due to some injuries. And who knows, maybe Watson or Shyman could be that stud that really blossoms this year for the Boston Celtics. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I think it was absolutely disrespectful that Bleacher Report gave us a C- on these rankings for these Boston Celtics rookies. Absolutely abysmal. I would have said give him a little bit of a higher ranking. Give him a B-. I think Watson didn't get as much praise as he deserved in that Bleacher Report article. And even though Shyman didn't shoot the greatest, he provided all the other intangibles, all the other knackables that you would want to see out of a shooter. And if that jump shot just starts getting a little bit more consistent, which we've seen in college, I have no issues and no worries with Baylor Shyman. But like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this Boston Celtics team. Like I said, if you want to make sure you stay updated on everything revolving around the Boston Celtics this entire offseason, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stay up to date with Celtics Digest because we have daily content coming out for you guys all offseason leading up to the Celtics season. And then once the season starts, we're going to have an abundance of stuff coming out as well. Once again, I'm Bruce Velez. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Celtics Digest, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.